Imagine your cat asleep in a patch of sunlight. There is nothing unusual about the scene. A familiar cat, in a familiar place, doing something cats have always done. Maybe your cat has a favorite chair. Maybe there is one window they choose every morning. Maybe they know the sound of a food packet before you have even opened the cupboard. Cats can feel completely known in those moments. Their routines become part of the house. Their habits become part of your own day. And still, inside animals as ordinary as that, scientists have found something much larger than most people would expect. A cancer map. In 2026, researchers published a study in the journal Science called The Oncogenome of the Domestic Cat. They analyzed 493 paired tumor and normal tissue samples from cats. Those samples covered 13 different types of feline cancer. For anyone who owns a cat, the reason this matters is direct. Cats have lived beside humans for generations. They sleep in our homes, breathe the same air, share the same spaces, and move through the same household environments. Yet the genetics of their cancers remain surprisingly underexplored. Dr. Jeffrey Wood from the University of Guelph put it plainly. Despite domestic cats being common pets, very little was known about the genetics of cancer in these animals until now. That is the strange part of the story. Cats are everywhere in human life. They are in our homes, our family photos, our daily routines, and our internet culture. But in cancer genetics, they have been almost hidden.
My orange tabby, Moo Moon, is not part of this study. There is no evidence from this research that orange tabbies have special cancer genes, and there is no evidence that coat color connects to these findings. But when Moo Moon curls up by the window like any ordinary house cat, she still reflects one of the central ideas behind the research. Cats are not separate from our world. They live inside it with us. They share homes with humans. They share household environments. That is part of why scientists are looking at domestic cats, not only as patients, but as possible partners in understanding cancer across species.
This study does not show that cats can cure cancer. It does not prove that a treatment for a cat will become a treatment for a human. What it shows is that cat cancers can share meaningful genetic similarities with human cancers. The researchers focused on feline versions of about 1,000 human cancer-related genes. They were looking for connections between the biological machinery involved in cancer in humans and the biological machinery involved in cancer in cats. From those 493 tumor normal pairs, the team identified 31 cancer-driving genes, along with mutational signatures, viral sequences, and inherited variants that may predispose tumors. One of the most important genes in the study was TP533. TP533 is often discussed in cancer research because when it is damaged, cells can lose important control systems. In this study, TP533 was the most frequently mutated gene in cat cancer. It appeared in 33% of feline tumors. That number matters because human pan-cancer studies report TP533 mutations in about 34% of human cancers. This is not something an owner can see in a cat's daily behavior. A cat does not behave in a way that reveals a TP533 mutation. There is no visible routine, no facial expression, no habit at home that would tell you this gene is involved. But for an owner, the meaning is still clear. When a cat becomes a cancer patient, the disease may not be as biologically distant from human cancer as many people assume. That changes the frame. A cat is not a small animal living in an entirely separate disease world. In some cancers, the underlying genetic story may overlap with the human one in ways researchers can study.
The overlap becomes even more specific when the study turns to mammary tumors. In feline mammary tumors, researchers found that FBXW7 was the most common driver gene. Mutations in FBXW7 appeared in more than half of the cat mammary tumors studied. That is a specific and serious finding, because FBXW7 mutations in human breast cancer are associated with worse prognosis. This does not mean cat mammary cancer and human breast cancer are identical. It does not mean findings in cats automatically become human treatments. It means researchers found a shared genetic clue in a serious cancer type. Again, the finding is not visible in a cat's personality or routine. There is no behavior that tells an owner a tumor has an FBXW7 mutation. What it means is that behind symptoms a person may notice only later, there may be a detailed genetic process that veterinary medicine is only beginning to map at this scale.
That is one of the quiet tensions in cat ownership. Cats are familiar animals. We know their routines. We know their small habits. We know when something feels slightly off. We notice when they sleep in a different place, when they eat differently, when they avoid a jump they used to make, or when they choose distance instead of contact. But biologically, they can still be deeply mysterious. A cat can be both intimately known and scientifically underexplored.
This study involved more than one clinic, one lab, or one country. The Wellcome Sanger Institute in the United Kingdom was involved. The Ontario Veterinary College at the University of Guelph in Canada was involved. The University of Bern in Switzerland was involved. Researchers connected to the VetSuisse faculty, the Bern Center for Precision Medicine, and the Compath platform also took part. Some of the named researchers include Dr. Jeffrey Wood at the University of Guelph, Dr. Sven Rottenberg at the University of Bern, Bailey A. Francis at the Wellcome Sanger Institute, Chang He at the University of Bern, and Louise van der Weyden at the Wellcome Sanger Institute. The samples came from domestic cats across 5 countries, although the accessible summaries do not clearly list all 5 countries. The safe fact is that the study was international. The exact country list should not be overstated without the full paper.
The way the research was done is also part of the story. The study used leftover normal and cancerous tissue samples collected during routine veterinary treatment. These samples came from real cats already receiving care, not from tumors created for the study. That detail matters. This is not a story about cats being turned into laboratory subjects for drama. It is a story about real veterinary cases becoming a genetic map that may help future research. Dr. Sven Rottenberg said that having access to such a large set of donated tissues allowed researchers to assess drug responses across tumor types in a way that had not been possible at this scale before.
The researchers did not only sequence tumors. The University of Bern team also used 3-dimensional mammary tumor models, called MAM tumoroids. These models helped validate findings and test drug responses. In feline mammary tumors with mutated FBXW7, certain chemotherapy drugs appeared more effective in tissue samples. This point needs caution. These were tissue sample findings. They were not completed live cat clinical trials, and they were not human clinical trials. They are research leads, not treatment instructions. The finding is that FBXW7 mutated feline mammary tumor samples showed a possible drug response pattern in the lab. An owner cannot detect that at home. There is no visible FBXW7 behavior. The meaning for owners is that future cancer care for cats may depend more on the genetic details of a tumor, not only on where the tumor appears in the body. That idea is part of precision medicine. The expert reaction published by Science Media Center Spain said the study could help move feline oncology away from treating blindly and toward more precise approaches. The same expert reaction also warned that more validation is needed. Juan Francisco Borrego, a veterinary oncology specialist, described the study as the map we were missing. It is a useful quote because it describes what the research provides. Without a map, a disease can be recognized without being well understood. Researchers may know a cancer is present, but not know its routes, recurring patterns, or shared genetic drivers. They may not know which cancers resemble human disease and which may be more specific to cats. This study begins drawing that map.
It also has limits. One limitation is that researchers focused on about 1,000 human cancer genes. That makes sense because the study was partly comparative. It also means mutations unique to cats could be missed. A study can be major and incomplete at the same time. It can mark real progress and still have blind spots. Another limitation is that feline genetic databases are still early. Human cancer genetics has been studied at massive scale for years. Cats are only beginning to receive this kind of large-scale genomic attention. The contrast is not that everything is now known. The contrast is that researchers knew surprisingly little before, and now they have a stronger starting point. The timeline shows how this moment developed. In 2005, feline mammary tumors were already being discussed in comparative oncology because of similarities to human breast cancer. In 2016, a review called Cat Mammary Tumors: Genetic Models for the Human Counterpart argued that feline mammary tumors resembled human breast cancer in genes and pathways. In September 2024, the Merck Veterinary Manual summarized current clinical knowledge, stating that mammary tumors are among the most common cancers in cats and that the role of chemotherapy remained controversial. On February 19, 2026, the study The Oncogenome of the Domestic Cat was published in Science.
On that same date, the University of Guelph and the University of Bern issued public summaries explaining the significance of the findings. On April 21, 2026, DVM 360 covered the study for the veterinary community. On May 24, 2026, Science Daily published a University of Guelph-sourced summary with a broader public-facing headline: House cats could help unlock new cancer treatments for humans. That May coverage is what made the story a strong documentary topic inside the May 2026 window. The accurate wording is not that the study was published in May. The study was published in February 2026, and the broader Science Daily coverage appeared in May. That distinction matters because the story is strong enough without exaggeration.
For cat owners, health is often understood through behavior. A cat hides more,
Eats differently.
sleeps somewhere unusual, avoids jumping, wants less contact, or asks for more. Something changes,
And because cats cannot explain pain or illness, owners become interpreters. This research sits far beneath behavior. It shows that inside some feline cancers, scientists are finding patterns that resemble human cancer biology. TP53 appeared in cats at a frequency close to human pan-cancer numbers. FBXW7 appeared in more than half of the studied feline mammary tumors. Researchers identified 31 cancer-driving genes across multiple feline tumor types. These are not everyday owner observations. They are genetic findings. They matter because they may help explain why some cat cancers develop, why some behave aggressively, and why certain treatments may deserve more study.
The study also connects to a wider idea known as One Health or One Medicine. The basic idea is that human health, animal health, and shared environments are connected. Cats live with humans. They share indoor spaces, homes, routines, and exposures. That does not mean every disease is the same across species. It means companion animals can sometimes reveal patterns that laboratory models alone may miss. Dr. Jeffrey Wood said the study can help researchers understand why cancer develops in cats and humans, how the world around us influences cancer risk, and possibly find new ways to prevent and treat it. That is the center of this story. The cat on the couch is not relevant to science because it is cute. It is relevant because it lives in the same world we do.
There are also clinical background facts that show why this matters for cats themselves. The Merck Veterinary Manual estimates that 80 to 90% of mammary tumors in cats are malignant. It also states that cats spayed before 6 months have a 91% decreased risk of mammary tumor development, and cats spayed before 12 months have an 86% decreased risk. Cornell Feline Health Center says cancer affects an estimated 30 to 40% of all cats, and about 1/3 of those malignancies involve the mammary glands. Cornell also states that roughly 85% of feline mammary cancers are lethally malignant adenocarcinomas. These numbers should not be used to frighten viewers. They explain why feline cancer research matters. For many owners, cats feel constant. They have routines, rituals, favorite places, and familiar patterns. They become part of the morning and evening rhythm of a home. Medically, cats are still vulnerable. Because they often hide signs of illness, the science behind their diseases can feel like it arrives late. Mapping the feline oncogenome creates a stronger foundation before future treatment questions are even asked.
The honest ending should remain honest. This is not a cure. It is not proof that cats will soon unlock human cancer treatment. It is not a reason for owners to make medical decisions from a video. The accurate conclusion is narrower and stronger. For the first time, researchers have created a large-scale genetic map of domestic cat cancers. They used 493 tumor-normal pairs, studied 13 cancer types, examined about 1,000 human cancer-related genes, and found important overlaps between feline and human cancer biology. That map may help future research in both veterinary and human medicine. For cat owners, it changes the way we look at the animal in front of us. The cat sleeping on the couch is still your cat, still strange, funny, stubborn, and soft in the exact way only your cat is soft.
Moo Moon is still Moo Moon when she stretches in the sunlight and acts like the house belongs to her. Studies like this remind us that ordinary cats
are not scientifically ordinary. They carry biological stories researchers are only beginning to read. The same cat who knocks things off your table, ignores you when she feels like it, and falls asleep as if nothing in the world matters, may also belong to a species that helps scientists understand one of the hardest diseases on Earth. Thank you for watching Purrs Academy, and till our next video, don't forget to subscribe.